Okay, I need your attention. The tech regulations are changing. There's a risk some of our hard work will be undone, so we need to mitigate it.
And with that, it was announced regulation changes in effect for next season, Season 2 on the way. Hello everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 Career Mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. There you see it. The aerodynamics and the chassis will be seeing a regulation change going into next season. That's going to be interesting, as we look like we could still be having a future at Williams, but we won't know until next episode. We were, however, contacted by Toto Wolff coming into this weekend.
I'd love to have you race my car, Gary, but we've already signed a driver for the seat. We will announce it next weekend. I think it would be wise of you to sign the extension with Williams.
So you hear Toto Wolff's comments, you hear as well advice from Toto Wolff saying, hey, you should sign that extension with Williams now, and I'm sure he would like to announce that going into next episode as like a Mercedes and Williams pipeline announcement now. But Toto Wolff at least expresses an interest in us going forward. We had big news this weekend as well from Red Bull and VCarb. Daniel Ricciardo has lost his ride, just like real life. Liam Lawson has moved into the VCarb position for the remainder of the season, which is about 5 Grand Prix. So he will try to take on and get some points for that team and impress and maybe get a Red Bull seat next season. Our contract talk, I mean, of course, we've already gone on about it, but my future is, in at least my opinion right now, looking like it is going to be Williams for next season, and we of course got an offer from James Vowles just recently to remain with the team. We have been absolutely on fire over the last few rounds. We've really found our strides here late in the rookie season. 2 back-to-back very strong finishes inside the points, and not just finishing 10th or 9th, no, up towards 5th, 6th, 7th in that area, which has been absolutely spectacular. The question is, can we continue that into Circuit of the Americas? This is a track, of course, with 2 long straightaways that will really benefit the Williams with the straight line speed. We do have the top powertrain in the R&D tree currently, but we did have to change more parts on the engine coming into this weekend. So again, we will be starting at the back. The mechanical failures and just the overall more wear on the Williams car throughout the season has put us in this position to where we're taking a lot of grid penalties late in the season. It's unfortunate, but it quite simply is what it is. However, we're still looking for the absolute maximum in qualifying. We're proving, hey, we can run laps with the big boys as we come through out of the final turn now. That 90-degree left-hander, open that DRS finish line right there. We go top of the board briefly, but we would get through into Q2 with P8. How about that? Meanwhile, our teammate of Alex Albon in P16. A rough outing for him. Lance Stroll out again in Q1. We know his future is very much on the line. I think we're going to have some news on that soon, because he has been really dropping the ball behind the wheel of that Williams. Meanwhile, Alonso continues to run at a solid rate as we come through into Q2. Can we make it into Q3? That was the big question, and I was putting together a lap that I was really happy with, and it was looking like we have a very realistic chance to get into Q3. Round the final couple of corners there through that penultimate turn. Always hard to get that turn just perfect. As we round the final left-hander, again, DRS open to the stripe. It's going to be P6. What would that be though long term? It would maintain P6 through into Q3. Perez just barely makes it over Alonso, Butler, Ocon, Bottas, and Tsunoda all out. We know what our fate is, however, in Q3. This is where everybody, of course, steps up and really unlocks the potential of their cars, and we just don't really have enough in this Williams to be able to compete with that. So this is more of a joyride. Still trying to, of course, find as much time as I could, but I know that really whatever I do, I'm going to end up P10 nonetheless at the end of the session. So just coming around the final handful of corners now, a few corners to go, missing the apex a little bit in that penultimate turn, and 1 turn to go. And actually, it was overall a really solid lap early in Q3. We crossed the stripe and go P2, but none of that would matter. When everyone stepped up, we would end up P10 behind Pierre Gasly. I would say us two have really been stepping it up as the midfield drivers now. Signs from Paul Verstappen down in P8. A lot of work to do. What can he do going into the grid on Sunday?
Here we are then in one of the fastest growing cities in the United States, the fabulous Austin in the great state of Texas. The circuit itself, 14 miles southeast of the city centre, has been home to the US Grand Prix since 2012, the latest in a long list of iconic tracks to have that honour. We're racing today then in Travis County, Texas, where 20 corners and speeds of up to 200 miles per hour await us on this magnificent racetrack. It's 60% full throttle with plenty of good opportunities to pass, especially through the two DRS zones into turn 1 and the long back straight into turn 12. What a race we have in store today. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, and starting next to them is George Russell. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Norris, Hamilton, Perez, Verstappen, Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Butler, Oscar Piastri, Ocon, Bottas, Tsunoda, Albon, Stroll, Hulkenberg, Ackermann, Liam Lawson, and Golden Boy. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
So we will be going for a one-stop strategy here today, starting on the mediums, going onto the hards. 2-stop is a similar pace, but we're going to aim for the 1-stop, unlike the last 2 rounds where we have done a 2-stop, and it has been successful as we get ready to go racing.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out.
Everyone on mediums except for one driver, Yuki Tsunoda, on the softs.
As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
Right, boys, we've been on an absolute tear lately. I don't see why we can't keep it up here today. Let's just carve our way forward.
Yes, mate, get on it today. You got this.
So we're getting ready to roll up to the back of the grid again, after putting one heck of a qualifying effort together, right behind the new driver on the grid, replacing Daniel Ricciardo. Liam Lawson, what can he do in his first ride or drive of the season for that V-Carb team? Of course, not his first race of his career, but first drive of the season as we are ready to go racing. All cars are formed up at the back of the grid. Carlos Sainz is ready to lead the field to green. It's going to be 5 red lights, and it's going to be not a quick hold or a long hold, and it's a slow, terrible start for Sainz. Leclerc is going to go around the outside into turn 1. They might be 3 wide for the lead. Russell in the middle, Norris up the inside. Verstappen's gotten after it. He's up to P6, P7. He drops back down to Perez through into P4. Leclerc to the lead of the Grand Prix, while Sainz goes from 1st to 5th in 1 corner. A horrific start for the Spaniard, and Leclerc still has a fighting chance at the World Drivers' Championship if he can win this race, if he can just finish ahead of Verstappen in general. Right now he's well on pace to do that, but it's only lap 1. A lot of racing, a lot of things can and will happen. I was able to gain a few spots diving up the inside into turn 1, got to P16, actually behind my teammate of Alex Albon. Stroll, Lawson, Hulkenberg, Ackermann, the pair of Haas cars who were so strong earlier in the season, now at the bottom of the grid. Russell settling in to P2, Norris P3, still seeking that first win in Formula 1 now as well. Red Bull continue to be pressured in the Constructors' Championship as the season winds down. Perez has been dropping the ball significantly. They are considering a potential change if need be, if they go into desperation mode come the season end. Of course, we still have enough rounds for things to drastically change in that Constructors, and Red Bull is not afraid to make a change if they need to. So Perez needs to step it up. I would imagine we would know his future following next episode. Will he finish out the season after Mexico or not with Red Bull? I think that's going to be the telltale sign. If he can put a good effort together today and put a good effort together in Mexico, I think he's going to secure his ride for the remainder of the season. Outside of that, who knows? We already see that they're willing to make changes by, well, getting rid of Daniel Ricciardo this weekend and putting Liam Lawson behind the wheel. So we know that team has definitely got some things going on here now as we're up the rear gearbox now of Alex Albon, getting ready to put some pressure on him here, opening this rear wing. But now with the run towards the long braking zone coming up, the heavy braking zone, we swing up to the right side. We'll be wheel to wheel into the braking zone at the 100 marker now, and we'll just try to go around the outside of Albon and comfortably take the position. Thank you very much now, and that will move us up a spot. He tries to fight back around the outside. Albon not making it easy, but we've just got a newfound confidence. We are comfortable in this car, and we're able to now consistently just find more pace than Albon, which it was such a back and forth throughout the majority of the season, right up to where things seem to change in Azerbaijan in our favor, and things are working out pretty well as we continue to drive our way forward. We know we got good pace, and we know the Williams is good at this track in general with the straight line advantage, and now we're putting some pressure on Rookie of the Year rival Devin Butler, which we have now, of course, taken over that whole ordeal because it was kind of in the favor of Butler, but Kick Sauber's fallen off, Williams are getting hot, and now we have extended the points over Butler and are in pretty good shape now. Lap 6 at this point, Yuki Tsunoda on the softs, the only driver on a different tire right in front of us. Butler with a poor exit. Here's an opportunity. We're going to lunge up the inside. A bit of an unexpected move right there. Going for the overtake here as we go wheel to wheel. Butler not going to make it easy as well. Tries to keep it up the inside. We leave him a car widths of space, and we get the job done around the outside. Another position gain now up at a P14 in these early laps of Circuit of the Americas. P14, lap 6. How far can we go? Can we get a points finish still? I think we can. As now yellow flags on lap 7, and it's an Alpine. That's Esteban Ocon. Ocon's gone around all on his own, it looks like now. We'll get a replay there as tires are starting to wear, and Ocon lost it all on his own and goes around. The Frenchman goes from P11 to tumbling to the bottom of the grid behind Lawson and Ackerman now, as well, of course, Nico Hülkenberg back in the field this weekend after missing Singapore last episode due to an illness, where we saw Ollie Behrman replace the German driver. Now is another overtake done on Yuki Tsunoda. A bit of a slide from myself. Tires are wearing quickly, and that's why you see the 2-stop is about as quick as the 1-stop, because the tire wear is quite high, and we're going to be struggling for grip as this race continues on. And I am already starting to slip and slide around this circuit a little bit now as we try to run down Valtteri Bottas for that 11th position now. And yeah, still feeling pretty good. Our pit window opens lap 13, so we're a little bit past halfway in that pit window. We just got to be patient and be delicate on the throttle input, and we're going to be okay. Leclerc continues to lead the way over Russell, and more yellows, and it's behind. It's a Haas. I believe it's Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg has gone around now, and a replay there, and sure enough, he loses it on his own. Driver struggling for grip here in Circuit of the Americas with this tire wearing out, and that's our second spin as I'm slipping and sliding around. Everyone's slipping around. 2-stop is a viable option for some drivers, and I'm sure we'll find out who's going to be doing it soon enough. But Lando Norris now up the inside of Russell. A bit of contact there between the two. Norris wants that first win to go up against Piastri's 2 wins of his second season in Formula 1, and Norris moves into P2 and he'll try to run down Charles Leclerc, but who's on the 1-stop? Who's on the 2-stop? That's really the big question here, and that will of course really determine the outcome of this race going forward. Now a run to the outside of Bottas, putting us through into P11 now here in Circuit of the Americas, again driving from the back of the field. Things are working out well as now Leclerc's coming in, and so is Perez and Lewis Hamilton. They are committing to a 2-stop strategy. A good stop for Leclerc right there. He'll get back out on the racetrack. He's on another set of mediums, meaning his final stop he'll put on the hards. Piastri, as that's happening, out of the Grand Prix. 3 big moments here over the last handful of laps since lap 7. Piastri with a mechanical failure. The McLaren driver out of the Grand Prix. A free position for us, and now we're up inside the points. So things are working out pretty well from, again, carving our way from the back of the grid here now as we work our way through. The S is actually really poor S's right there, but it would be okay long term. Carlos Sainz pitting at the end of lap 10, coming to lap 11. He's on the 2-stop as well. So if you're pitting really before lap 12 or 13, you're doing a 2-stop. So I believe, yeah, everyone in front of us now as we're sliding into turn 1 has committed to a 1-stop. So Verstappen, Norris, Russell, Alonso, Gasly, they're all committed to one-stopping this, and we as well are committing to one-stopping Bottas and Leclerc now on the two-stop, already carving his way forward, and he is going to be putting on some pressure against myself here in the next few moments. He's already worked his way past the kick Sauber of Valtteri Bottas now as we dive down into turn number 1, and actually a really poor turn 1 is going to allow Leclerc to get right up my gearbox now, and as we came through the S's right here, going to see me right there making a bit of an error, and that allows the Leclerc to slip up the inside now, and I just completely botched these few corners, and we lose so much time when you do that. When you miss one corner in the S's, you basically miss all of them, unless you give up a bunch of time trying to reset. So Leclerc blows the doors off of us, and we continue on here in P7. Hamilton was now carving his way forward. We still have another lap to run before we make our pit stop, so Hamilton's likely going to get past us as well, as we're struggling so hard for grip, but these drivers on the one stop just hanging on. Leclerc's going to have a comfortable gap when everyone makes their pit stop now. Hamilton through into P8. However, I didn't make as many mistakes this time, but eventually gets to my outside now, and we're not going to make it too difficult there. There he goes. That should be a corner cutting warning at the very least. Now he completely put four wheels off the racing surface, but nonetheless, we drop to P8 here and are getting ready to make our pit stop at the conclusion of this 13th lap, and we're going to see other drivers pitting this lap. All the leaders, Norris, Russell, Verstappen, Alonso, Gasly is going to be coming in as well, and then Leclerc is going to have a very comfortable lead. However, these guys are all one-stopping. They're going to have fresher rubber. They're going to be reeling in Leclerc, and Leclerc is going to have to make another pit stop and then chase them all back down to try and win this race, or more importantly, just beat that guy, Max Verstappen. Leclerc is already out of turn number 1, long gone down the road. Hamilton not far up the road from Norris and the others, as we're now in the pit lane ourselves, pitting at the halfway point of this Grand Prix, coming in for a set of hard compound tires. No pressure from behind. We get to come out without any issues there, and we'll focus in on the rest of this race. It's been looking really good for us so far, but hopefully we can continue that. Now we're going to be P17, exiting actually right alongside Nico Hulkenberg. We're going to try and put up a fight here, but we're on cold rubber, so this is probably not going to work out on this opening lap, but hopefully in another lap or two, we'll have enough pace to fight him, but we're going to hold him off into the S as he backs out of it, thank goodness now, as I was really committed to hang on, but it didn't matter because he had warm tires and was able to maintain with me, and he's going to pass me with the DRS, so we'll drop down to P18, but we know that once this tire heats up over the next lap or so, we should be able to pass him back, as he is on a bit older rubber. So lap 15, a lap later, same spot he passed me, we pass him back. Thank you very much. Look at the track map. Look at the sizable margin that Leclerc has over Lewis Hamilton, and then we got Lando Norris just behind that mess as well, trying to close in and work his way forward. He's about to pass Lewis Hamilton for that second position. Now, for us, it's all about just running the best pace we can, but as well conserving the tire, making sure it survives all the way to the end here. But Leclerc's lead is dwindling, but he's got a comfortable lead. But the question is, once he pits, how many laps is he going to have to be able to run down the leaders? I think that's the big question, is how many laps does he have, because he might run out of time. Hamilton's down to third, about to lose a spot to Verstappen. Now yellow flags in front. I believe it's Ocon. It is Ocon. Day gets worse for the self-spinner on lap 7. Now a mechanical failure for the Frenchman. He's going to be out of the Grand Prix. Another spot gain for us. Unfortunate ending there for Ocon as we drive up into P13 with more spots still to gain before this race is over now, as Perez coming through on lap 19 for the two-stopper. He's going to get those new medium compound tires on. What can he do in this push to the end of the race? His career on the line. We very well are aware of that. Could this be a strategy that gets him a competitive result? You want to see top fives out of Sergio Perez in that Red Bull. We haven't been seeing it as of late. As now Leclerc comes in a lap later, this is going to be the moment of truth. He comes in, get the mediums off, he puts on the hards. Honestly, I would have liked to see him go onto the hard tire in the first pit stop and then switch over to the medium for the last run, but it is what it is there. It's going to be a lot harder for him, get what I did there, to be able to win this race now on the hard tire. He's going to come out behind Carlos Sainz, as well as you got this whole mess right here right in front of him, actually, with Russell battling as well. So Leclerc's got some work to do. He's not going to be right on these guys, and they are going to be pitting as well, so they will get out of his way, so he will have some free racetrack to work with now. But you see the situation. Lando Norris leads the way into turn 1 in seek of his first win in Formula 1 as Verstappen's trying to chase him down. Sainz just pitted and Leclerc was working his way quickly through traffic. He's on the back of Russell now with less than 10 laps to go. Still, a lot of work still to be done for the Monegasque. I was run down by Sergio Perez now, who's on that two-stop strategy. We've had a few run-ins with him as of late now as we go down into the braking zone. Perez runs into the side of us, actually turns in on us, and immediately I'm like, okay, hold on now. That's not going to fly. We're going to make life a little bit more difficult on you going through the rest of this lap now as we use that battery. No DRS, but we got enough overtake to get right up to the back of him as we head down into the braking zone. We'll fight to the right side, show the nose. He goes very defensive now as we look to the left side. He covers it off. We dive up the inside now of the Mexican Red Bull driver now as we continue wheel to wheel, not making things easy. You turn in on me, you're going to certainly get a little bit of aggression back at you, but he eventually gets the job done. He goes through back into P8. We'll look at the replay there. Perez, I mean, quite simply, gets to run, whatever. He's going to get DRS right there, and then when he goes into the corner, just turns the wheel right ever so slightly and, well, quite simply turns into the side of me. We continue on and just doing the best we can, and right now we are very much on pace for a top 10. Carlos Sainz, I think, is the only other driver that could pass us and we would still get a top 10, and he is working his way back forward. Leclerc has passed everybody he needs to pass to get now nothing between him and the leaders of Verstappen and Norris, but look at the gap on the track map. They're going into the final turn now. Leclerc's got a lot of time to make up. We're going to go through the grid with a few laps to go.
Lando Norris is in position to do something he has never done. Win a race. Can he hang on over a closing Max Verstappen? He's gaining little bits of time each lap as Leclerc still has 9 seconds to make up.
Charles has enough time to get there. I think the tyre fall off today is massive. Only 5 laps, but he can do it. The main question is, can he pass them?
It looks like the one stop is the way to go today, where last week the 2 stop won out in Singapore. How about Alonso maintaining P4 just like last week? Another great run for the 2-time champion.
He really does still have it in him, Crofty. As long as he stays in this form, he belongs on the grid. His teammate of Lance Stroll, however, needs to step up immediately. We know with Adrian Newey coming to the team next year, he needs results.
Alex Albon in 12th, a few spots behind his teammate of Owen. We're starting to see Owen regularly beat Albon late in his rookie season.
He's really looked like a future star of the sport over the last few races. I think this kid has a bright future in F1. He still does not have a secured ride for next year, but I think 3 straight points finishes will change that.
Nico Hulkenberg at the back of the grid now. Here comes Carlos Sainz. This will put us down to P10. How about Liam Lawson, currently in P11 in his first drive of the season? That's not going to stick, though. He's on the one stop. He's got a bunch of drivers with fresher rubber right on the back of him. Fortunately, they're not close enough to put pressure on me, as here comes Sainz now up the inside into the braking zone. He'll have DRS. Don't make it hard on him, as that's just simply a fight that's not going to come out in my favor. Leclerc is continuing to close in on Verstappen, who's closing in on Lando Norris. So this is far from over. We're coming to 2 laps to go at this point, and the gap to Sainz is now 6 seconds. I'm 7 seconds ahead of Lawson and Albon. We are on pace for 3 consecutive points finishes for the first time in our career. Today was not as flashy as, you know, last episode in Singapore or Azerbaijan, as I actually take a time penalty, my 3rd cut of the race, but that's going to be fine. We've got 7 seconds advantage and only 3 seconds of penalties. Leclerc has run down the leaders now as they approach the final lap, starting the final lap. 28 Norris leads. Verstappen's right there, but Leclerc has gotten to them. Can they do anything, though? Perez as well has run down 7th place of Gasly. He's going to dive up the inside of the Frenchman here. Gasly having a great effort on the one-stop strategy, way better than what we were able to do, and he fights hard. He stays ahead of Perez. Perez is going to have to try again. And now on the long DRS straightaway, the leaders get going. Verstappen with the DRS, so Leclerc with DRS is not close enough to do anything. The one stop is going to be favorable to Verstappen and Norris, and not the 2 stop to Leclerc, who's going to end up giving up points, and Red Bull will overall gain points in the Constructors' Championship, which is going to be big now as Perez is going to go through now for the move on Gasly again, who's not making it easy, but a contact between the 2 drivers now. They continue continue wheel to wheel heading into this final sector. More contact. Can Perez finally get the job done? Yes, he can. Perez through. And meanwhile, Lando Norris, years of waiting and pressure from his teammate Piastri, who's won 2 races this season. Lando Norris finally is going to become a Formula 1 winner. He wins in Circuit of the Americas over Verstappen and a disappointed surely of Charles Leclerc. Hamilton will be P4, Russell P5, and for us it's going to be 3 consecutive finishes inside the points for the first time in our careers. My battery was actually stuck on this final lap, but we crossed the stripe for P10. What a day here from Circuit of the Americas. We will absolutely take that. Let's go, guys. Thank you so much, James. I think it's time to sign that extension.
Love to hear it, Gary. Let's get a deal done and signed. Great drive today.
A truly magnificent drive and a great performance from the entire team, securing victory here in Austin.
How about that? Lando Norris finally wins, as McLaren have been quite strong late in this season, setting themselves up well for Season 2 2025. However, we know the regulation changes just got announced, so that's going to be interesting to see what teams are going to take most advantage, and hopefully Williams is one of those teams. We're going to really focus on not really upgrading the car from this point on, but adapting parts. It looks like our future is here. I want to be with Williams now going forward, at least for one more season. We're making great projections forward as we look at the finishing order. Actually, Alonso got Russell there towards the end, sorry, so P5 for him, not P5 for Russell. Perez only P7, still not great, but at least Red Bull maintains their comfortability in the constructors. Liam Lawson beats his teammate of Sonoda in his debut for the season on the 1 stop versus the 2 stop there as we look at the standings now. Verstappen 56 points ahead of Leclerc. That's a comfortable margin going into these final handful of races. We are now at 21 points tied with fellow Canadian of Lance Stroll. Maybe Aston Martin has an option for us as well going forward. Stay tuned on that. In the constructors, Red Bull basically keeps it level with Ferrari. 48 points behind is the team in red. They've got some work to do, but it's far from over in the constructors. So I'll see you guys in the next one from the Mexican Grand Prix. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.